Oh hey, it's Wes. And I remember way back in the day when I first bought a Sony a9 and all I had was this one lonely charger. And even then, all I had was one lonely battery that came with the a9. There weren't any available online at any of the stores. Really wasn't much that you could do. Charging was a bit of a hassle. Boy, how times have changed. I really had no idea consciously how many chargers I was juggling until I had to plug all of them in here for this video. Boy, are there a lot of them. And I bought them all. Nobody sent me these. I actually had an argument with one of the manufacturers because I said that I was going to compare it head to head with other chargers, and they said, no, you can't have it. I'm like, okay, I'll just buy it, whatever. So I bought all these myself, just so that I can tell you which one's the best, and maybe just in any given situation, which one's the best for you. So let's get started. What do we have here? Of course, we have the Sony in the box with the A9 and the A7R. I don't think the a7III comes with one. No, it doesn't, or I would have two. This is the gold standard. And we'll talk about why that is in a minute. Then we have, Old Faithful, for me at least, the dual LCD AC powered charger. I have been using this for a long time, since way back when I just had an a7 II with the old FW50 batteries. And the great thing about this charger is the charging sleds are swappable. So I can change this back to an FW50 charger. I changed this to an FZ100 charger just by buying these sleds for a few dollars each on eBay. Very nice. I'll show you my charging wall sometime, but it didn't have to move anywhere. It's magnetically attached to the wall. So that's Old Faithful. Not great for traveling, takes up a lot of space, even more than this guy. So let's move on to our USB chargers. I have 4 of them. Just as a note, a lot of these chargers, not this one, will reappear under many different brand names, so I'm not going to talk about the brand names. I'll have links in the description to a representation of each of them. It doesn't really matter who makes them, they're all pretty similar, just different badges on the outside. So first, one of my favorites, this little guy, I call this the dual LCD USB charger. Again, you'll see this from a few different brands. When you plug your battery in here, you have a little readout showing your charging status. It's approximate, as it is with many of these. You get that with the giant dual LCD charger. You get that to a small degree with the Sony Charger. So you can kind of spitball where you are in the charge. Is the battery dead, half dead, almost charged? I find that extremely useful, and it will charge 2 batteries at once. Now this guy, another dual charger, I call this the dual LED charger, because all you have is a status light telling you whether or not it's charging. The light changes when it's fully charged. I'm not a big fan of that. I like a little more information in my life. We'll get into performance of all these real soon though. Then we have the RAVPower Charger. This guy actually came with 2 RAVPower batteries. I have run these through several charge cycles, no issues yet. I'm not willing to recommend or not recommend these batteries specifically yet, because I don't feel that I can vouch for a battery until I've been through at least 10 charge cycles and then done a load test on it. So far they're working great, but again, we have 2 charging slots, and again, we just have some really run-of-the-mill status lights charging or not charging. A little disappointing, but not very expensive. And then we have the cream of the crop of the USB chargers. This is the Nitecore. I had a past video about the original FW50 charger from Nitecore, and I was a little disappointed that it only charged 1 battery at a time. Well, here we go, it's got 2. This one's a little complicated. When I first got it in, I noticed that for some reason, it would only charge 1 battery at a time. I didn't read the fine print. My bad. This guy charges via USB, but in order to charge 2 batteries at a time, you have to use a Quickcharger. Now, I didn't have any Quickchargers. I'm an iPhone user. I have so many USB chargers for so many different things, but I just didn't have anything to quick charge. So I searched Amazon for what I thought would be the most kind of future-proof but also high-value charger. This is from RAVPower. It does quick charge, but also what would be considered the next generation of that, USB-C power delivery. So I like that it does both, and obviously it's backwards compatible. So this will bump this guy up to its quick charge rates. What are those rates? I wanted to test how effective all these chargers are. So we'll start with the actual Sony Charger that we'll say sets the standard for how these things should be charging batteries. I was a little worried that using the quick charge function on this, using the high versus low charge power function on this, maybe I'd be charging my very expensive Sony batteries too fast. Well, the Sony Charger, when measured with a watt meter, which is what I did with all of these, charged these batteries, one battery, 15 watt charge. That is potent. And just to get ahead of myself, none of these chargers charge a battery as fast as the Sony Charger. This one pumps the current into those batteries faster than anything else that I've found. So if you need to charge something fast, you use this guy. How fast? My charge times will vary. I use each of these chargers multiple times on a more or less dead battery to try to get an average, but depending on how old the battery is, thus affecting its capacity, how warm the room is, how warm the battery gets, your charge times are going to vary. So take this with a grain of salt. This one takes about an hour and a half to fully charge a Z-type battery. So this is our benchmark. Moving right along to the dual LCD AC charger, AC power. This guy will expend 15 watts in total, but shared between two batteries. Even though that is less, this will charge two batteries in about an hour and 50 minutes. That's not a lot more time. Now, why is that? A large portion of the time spent charging a battery is actually in the last like 20 or 30%. So chargers can just dump charge like crazy into a battery for the first 70-ish%. And then when it gets up a little higher with a lithium-ion battery, it has to trickle it in. So that last portion is really what takes a lot of the time. And so if you can charge two batteries at once, you're combining that last portion into one jump. And so you're not really losing out on a lot of time, and it doesn't really matter how powerful your charger is at that point. Any of these chargers will trickle charge at about the same rate, from 70-80% up to 100. So this guy is powerful. Not as powerful as that, but this will get you there fast. We've got the USB LCD charger, this little dude. You've got a screen on it. If you plug this into a powerful USB charger, we'll charge two batteries at once, drawing 10 watts in total. And just a little bit less power, but that pulls us all the way back to 3 hours and 45-minute charge time. It's quite a bit longer, but it is a lot smaller. And very similarly, this guy, maybe it even has the same charge controller in it, 3 hours, 45 minutes for two batteries. And now, let's move on just a little bit. We've got the RAVPower. Looks a little bigger. It's also a lot lighter though, and this is actually going to take over 4 hours to charge two batteries. It's only drawing 9 watts. This is actually the weakest of my chargers. Then we move on to the Nitecore, this beefy boy. It has what appears to be air ventilation holes in this, and maybe it needs it. Because this guy is actually going to draw 9 volts instead of USB 5 volts through the quick charge method, and it will charge two batteries with quick charge in an hour and 45 minutes. It's actually a tiny bit faster than this monstrosity. That's pretty interesting. But that's only if you have a quick charge brick. If you're not using the quick charge brick, just in standard mode, this is going to take over 4 hours to charge two batteries. Although it will draw 12 watts, which is unique. It goes over the 10 watt standard of USB and draws 12 watts from that iPad charger. It's only charging one battery at a time. So you're taking that slow trickle charge portion and you have to do it twice. So that really draws out the time. I've used all of these multiple times. None of them have broken. I didn't really expect any of them to break. I've taken some on travel, some road trips. But if you want a conclusion from me, here it is. I'm still using this guy for my base station because it plugs into AC power, works great on my power wall. We'll talk about that when I do a studio tour after I hit 10,000 subscribers. For travel, I'm a little bit torn between these two guys. Most of the time I'm charging overnight, and most of the time I don't have any reason to carry around this USB power delivery brick. But if you have a phone that already has a quick charge charger, you already have that with you, then I would say this guy is kind of a no-brainer. Sure, it costs more, but It's more effective. It charges your batteries fast. Again, not unsafely fast. It's still a tiny bit slower than the Sony Charger, but it costs a whole heck of a lot less. So there you have it. Take what you will, buy what you want, but those are the numbers. I bought them all, tested them all, wasted my time. Well, hopefully it wasn't a waste, so that you don't have to. If there's anything else that you think I should be testing, if you think there's something I missed, let me know down in the comments. I'm always there. Well, not always, but notifications and all. So, until next time, go take some photos.